So it appears that the OnePlus 8 Pro is going to be the first OnePlus phone to actually have this brand new feature. Now, when we talk about this brand new feature for the OnePlus 8 Pro, it looks like the OnePlus 8 Pro is going to have a feature that all other premium smartphones have had for quite some time now. So it's not really a brand new feature for smartphones, but it is going to be a brand new feature for the OnePlus line. And if you are a OnePlus fan, then you have something to look forward to on the upcoming OnePlus 8 Pro, because this is some pretty interesting news and some pretty exciting news as well, to finally hear news that OnePlus is actually going to be adding this brand new feature to the OnePlus line, which I don't necessarily think that OnePlus would have suffered without this feature, but I do think it is a welcome feature because OnePlus is a brand that's not necessarily a bad brand, but it's also not the premium of premium things. OnePlus was always a smartphone that was always a good value for what you were paying for, and they were always a solid choice if you didn't want to buy things like a Samsung smartphone, like an iPhone, and things like that. It was always a really good option, and the one thing that always helped OnePlus be really competitive in the market space was the price point of their smartphones. Alongside the price point of their smartphones, they also really had a lot of good features for the money. Sure, you were missing some stuff that some other premium smartphones had, like Samsung's, like for instance, maybe the camera on the OnePlus devices were just okay, or maybe the screens were just okay. So they did have to cut some corners here or there because, of course, the price point really did reflect what you were paying for. But it looks like they are still committed to making one of the best smartphones out there on the market, at least when it comes to their price point and when it comes to their smartphones. And they're going to be adding this really nice feature to their smartphones. Whether you use this feature or not, it's still nice that OnePlus is deciding to add this feature to their smartphones. And let's talk about this feature. So the brand new feature, it looks like OnePlus is going to be implementing into their brand new 8 Pro is going to be wireless charging. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings when it comes to wireless charging. Some people like wireless charging and some people don't like wireless charging. And wireless charging has always been inferior to actually a cable when we look at charging times, and that's a big reason why you may not want to use wireless charging. And then on top of that, one downside to wireless charging is the fact that you did have to usually buy some kind of charging stand. They usually never come with the smartphone alone, so it's like, why would you want to go out of your way to actually buy a wireless charging stand when you can just use the cable in the box? Because most time, a lot of these companies do supply you with a fast charger in the box. It's just more faster to actually use that, and you don't have to buy a separate accessory just to get inferior charging speeds, and you have to pay a little bit extra money on top of your smartphone purchase to do that. But that is pretty nice that they are getting this feature, because I do know there are people out there that really do like wireless charging. Wireless charging is kind of convenient, but it's also not really convenient because it's not really truly wireless charging. You still pretty much have to plop your smartphone, of course, on a charging stand where it can make connection with a surface on the back of your phone, and then once it makes connection on the back of your phone, then it'll start charging your phone, which is actually still pretty convenient, especially like, for instance, you're going to bed for the night, and you may be going to bed for the night. It's just easy for you to take your smartphone and plop it into a charging dock, and it automatically starts charging your phone, whereas the cable sometimes can be a little bit inconvenient, because sometimes, even with things like USB-C or the lightning cable, you do have to like fiddle around a little bit with your smartphone to find the hole on the bottom of your smartphone to charge your device. And I can see where some people really want wireless charging. I'm actually really glad that they are adding this to the brand new OnePlus 8 Pro, just because it gives it a little bit more features and it makes their smartphones a little bit more premium, just because they're adding this feature. And when you compare it to other smartphones on the market that already had that feature, it may be a downside to some people that this phone doesn't have wireless charging. So again, I am glad they are adding wireless charging to the OnePlus 8 Pro, and apparently they are taking it up a notch. You read this on the article right here. It does state that the OnePlus 8 Pro is going to have some of the fastest wireless charging that any phone has ever seen, which is actually pretty awesome, actually. So if you want the fastest wireless charging speed, you are going to get them from the OnePlus 8 Pro, which is actually interesting since they're not really the most premium smartphone brand out there, and their phones don't cost the most amount of money. But I guess I'm not too surprised about this, because if you look at their smartphones last year. I think they had like a 90 hertz display on their smartphones, and that was a pretty still a uncommon feature. And if you look at smartphones today, there still is a couple of smartphones on the market that don't have any higher refresh rate over 60 frames per second. Of course, one being the iPhone. The iPhone still doesn't have a higher refresh rate than 60 hertz, but I'm assuming with this one coming out this year, most likely they're going to want to make the jump to 120 hertz, 90 hertz, something over 60 hertz for the upcoming iPhone, just because, well, Samsung already did it this year, and since Samsung already did it this year, it makes sense that Apple would want to follow suit. They don't want to get too far behind the curve, and the next thing for them would be that super smooth display with the refresh rate and things like that. But that's actually still pretty interesting to see that the OnePlus 8 Pro is going to have some of the fastest charging speeds on the market. And I wanted to talk about wireless charging as a whole. I actually think in the near future, I do believe that one day we won't be charging our phones with cables anymore. Wireless charging would have already taken over, and everybody will be using wireless charging whether you like it or not. Look at what Apple has already done in the headphone space. Apple has already pretty much killed your traditional 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and nobody's really using the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack anymore. Most people are already adopting some type of wireless audio solution with wireless headphones, and of course Apple did start that trend, and of course they do make some of the most popular headphones on the market with the AirPods, of course. So if anybody was to get rid of like traditional charging, of course it would be Apple. They would just kill the charging port and make everything wireless. What I hope happens is I'm actually okay with wireless charging if they find a solution that's better than what we have today. Wireless charging today is still very practical, and it can still be very useful in a lot of scenarios. Like I mentioned, the bed scenario where you plop your smartphone on your bedstand while you go to sleep. You just drop it down, very convenient. Wake up and your phone's already charged. But the only downside to that is you can't really use your smartphone while your smartphone is actually being charged on the actual charger, since it's kind of awkward. You'd have to like duct tape it or something to actually use it, or get one that like stands up instead of sits down. You want one that stands up so you can lay it, like the one pictured in this one. This one kind of stands up, so it's kind of easier to use your smartphone while it's charging. What I do hope is we have a solution where maybe like your router would like send a signal around where maybe your phone can detect it, and then maybe you can charge like that. I do think one day in the future that's probably going to be a reality, where we're not charging our smartphones in a specific area. We can just charge them as we're walking with no cables, no stands, no nothing. That would be the dream, of course, and I do think we'll hit that point. Will it be soon? No, most likely it won't be soon, but I've already heard things in the past where companies apparently were trying to work on this technology where you can charge your phone from literally anywhere. You didn't need to place it anywhere. It just used the same signals as like Wi-Fi signals, or signals that are just like floating around. They would figure out some solution like that. And it looks like this wireless charger for the OnePlus 8 Pro is going to be super fast. It looks like it's going to do 50% of your smartphone's battery in only 30 minutes. And compared to the competition, of course, with any other wireless charger, of course, that is super fast. Of course, you're still not going to get the same speeds as you would be getting with a wired charger. So if you still want to charge your phone blazingly fast, you're still going to have to use wired charging at the very moment. But it is nice they're finally taking that step and finally putting wireless charging in the OnePlus 8 Pro, because I do think a lot of people were requesting it. That's probably why they decided to do that, and just the fact that it makes their smartphones more appealing when you hear all these features are on your smartphone compared to when they're not on your smartphone. Whether you use these features or not, I just think they're really nice features to actually have on your smartphone. And then outside of that, they did actually talk a little bit about what this smartphone may actually have in terms of features. I do believe, let's go ahead and look down and see if I can see where the features are, but it looks like it's going to include a 120 hertz display, which I think last time with the OnePlus 7 Pro, I think they only did 90 hertz. Correct me if I am wrong about that. We are getting the latest and greatest, of course. A new Snapdragon processor will be inside of this. I don't know if it is actually the latest and greatest, but of course it is going to be at least better than the then the OnePlus 7 Pro, and then you are going to be getting 5G, which is pretty nice. Of course, 5G hasn't rolled out everywhere. You will have to wait on that. Some areas have it, but even when some areas have 5G, right now 5G is not the most stable connection, so most likely you'll still be getting 4G-esque speeds, maybe 4G plus speeds if you even want to call it that, but most people can't even get 5G since 5G is not everywhere yet, but it is nice for future-proofing the phone, of course, and it looks like we will be getting some type of reverse wireless charging. Of course, these are only speculations and rumors. I always want to make this clear just because the launch event hasn't actually happened for the OnePlus 8 Pro yet. It's going to be happening on April 14th of this month, but it looks like it's going to be one heck of a phone. And it, of course, OnePlus is always one of those brands that always delivers in the smartphone space when it comes to smartphones. And for what you're getting here, I would argue that a lot of times having a OnePlus device is almost better than having a Samsung device. Sure, there is some stuff that you would be sacrificing, of course. You would be sacrificing things like maybe the screen not being as crispy, maybe not being as vibrant, the cameras not being as nice, software support, maybe you won't get as much software support potentially with these types of phones and things like that. But overall, for what you're paying for, you're getting one heck of a smartphone, and I think most people will be happy with a OnePlus device if you ever do end up buying a OnePlus device. Now, the next one here is about rumors of a brand new Samsung Galaxy Fold 2. And if Samsung does make a brand new Samsung Galaxy Fold 2, of course, this would actually be the third, I think, foldable phone that Samsung has actually produced. And I have some feelings about the Galaxy Fold 2. Do I actually think these rumors are true? Do I think Samsung is going to make a Galaxy Fold 2? I honestly think they would make a Samsung Galaxy Fold 2 because the Samsung Galaxy Fold 1 was kind of like a concept product. Sure, it came out to the market and you could actually buy that as a consumer, but just due to the fact that there were a lot of problems with that device, I still think Samsung has a lot of work ahead of them to make a Samsung Galaxy Fold that's actually going to be a better product. Of course, this year we did get a brand new foldable phone from Samsung, but it wasn't the same style as the original Galaxy Fold that came out last year in 2019. It was actually a phone that looked more like a traditional phone. It was called, of course, the Galaxy Z Flip, and the Galaxy Z Flip was taking a total different approach to what a foldable phone could be. And honestly, if you look at both of these designs, they're both so different to one another. I can't say which one's better because it really does depend on personal preference. Do you want a smartphone that's going to be more of a traditional smartphone design, which just folds in your pocket to make it more convenient to actually maybe travel with, or do you want something that has more functionality with like the Galaxy Fold? Out of the two devices, of course, obviously the Galaxy Fold, looking at that design, that one definitely has more functionality than what the Galaxy Z Flip could actually produce. You look at this smartphone, and this one is basically trying to be a smartphone and a tablet all in one. And honestly, if I was to pick one design, which design do I like more? Do I like the Galaxy Fold design, or do I like something along the lines of the Galaxy Z Flip, which is a much more traditional smartphone, just folded over? Honestly, I like this design way more better just because I like having the best of both worlds. I actually like having a smartphone and a tablet all in one, so when I pop it open, I'll have a much more bigger screen because for me, personally, I do a lot of multimedia consumption on my smartphone, whether it's watching video, whether it's heavy multitasking, browsing the internet, and things like that. And it is actually nice to have that bigger screen real estate on me at all times, where maybe I can do split screen, where I can have multiple applications open at the same time. Maybe I can watch a video a little bit bigger, do all these different things that I normally couldn't do on my regular smartphone just because I don't have really enough space. And then of course when I close it up, I would have a traditional smartphone, of course, where I can still use it if I didn't want to open it up, of course. And it looks like there is a whole bunch of different rumors. These are just rumors and speculations at the very moment. It looks like it could have a 7.7-inch screen or an 8-inch screen. It's really hard to say what type of screen size do you actually want for a device like that. Of course, it's all going to be personal preference and what Samsung actually wants to do. Of course, the bigger the better, obviously, especially with this concept. I feel like, just because you're buying this for the actual concept. When you open it up, you will have a tablet with you. Sure, it's still not going to be as big as a traditional tablet like an iPad, of course, but just the fact that you do have a slightly bigger screen on you with the Samsung Galaxy Fold means you will get a better experience, at least if you need a bigger screen. And honestly, I'm all for that. And of course, it looks like it would still be very expensive because this technology, for some reason, is still very expensive. One thing I obviously want them to actually work on, and the biggest drawback of the Galaxy Fold 1 was the fact that the durability issues were through the roof. Same thing with the Galaxy Z Flip. Smartphones, these foldable smartphones do have a lot of problems when it actually comes to the durability of the smartphone, and that's something they really need to work on. Most of these smartphones do have some kind of plastic screen on them when you actually use them, of course, and that's not good for durability because they'll get damaged very easily. And the other bad thing about the durability of foldable smartphones is the hinges. The hinges are always the problem. Usually what happens is, if you fold them in and out too many times, they'll break over time. Or the biggest issue is dirt and debris getting into the hinge. And since they're acceptable to getting dirt and debris into the actual hinge of the actual device, that means that these things just don't last that long. And it's very unfortunate, considering how much you're paying for these. Even though these are very cool and they're very different than traditional smartphones that we had for many years now, all I can say is I can't justify something that's like easily close to $2,000, even $1,400-$1,500, when they have a lot of durability issues. These things are just a disaster waiting to happen when it comes to breaking these things. Even with just normal everyday use, you can easily break these things without even much of a without much strength. You can easily break them just by putting them in and out of your pocket, opening them in and out, the screen getting scratched, the screen getting damaged. These things stop functioning over time. And you remember what happened last year with the Galaxy Fold, the original Galaxy Fold. People kept peeling off the screen protector, which it wasn't actually a screen protector. The same screen protector you would use to like protect a normal device. It was a screen protector to protect the screen from actually getting damaged, but it was meant to be on there at all times because these screens are just really, really fragile. So they have to figure out a way to make these screens much more stronger, like a normal smartphone. And then the hinge problem has to be solved. And I think once they solve all those issues, these things will be ready to go. And I think more people will latch onto these things. But the biggest problem with these things are, of course, still the price of these things. And the price of these things definitely have to come down at least around $1,000, because people are willing to spend $1,000 for a smartphone. But when you look at things like $1,400, $2,000, I really do think that's where things start getting out of control. Especially, you have to consider, what can you buy for that same amount of money? What can you buy for like $1,400 to like $2,000? You can buy a pretty crazy laptop for that price. So why would you really want to buy a device that's going to be inferior to something like a high-end laptop or a high-end desktop or something like that? It just blows my mind here. And then another thing I really want them to focus on with the next iteration of this smartphone is the actual regular smartphone functionality, where when you close the Samsung Galaxy Fold, you guys know that there is a screen on the front of the device, and the screen on the front of the device, at least with the original Galaxy Fold, wasn't a pleasant experience. It wasn't like you were actually using a normal smartphone, just because the screen was just a little bit too small and it didn't cover the full front of the display. It really did feel like this device was made more towards people who use tablets on a day-to-day basis. If you're a fan of a tablet, then you're really going to love this device. But if you're a person that used more of a traditional smartphone and you need to use that, then this is where I feel like the Galaxy Fold original really did lack, just because it wasn't really too convenient to actually use the front screen when you close the device. It was really more about the front of the device. So as long as they can figure out how to make the front of the device be full screen, a little bit bigger, feel more like a traditional smartphone, then I think this thing will catch on, and I think this thing can be a really nice device. And I really am glad that they are focusing on this design again, and they're back at it if this is true. Again, these are only rumors at this very moment, but most likely a lot of these things, like I said time and time again, a lot of these things leak out and they're real. There's no reason why they wouldn't be real because it's so easy to leak information now. And most likely, Samsung would want to continue to refine their original foldable phone, the Galaxy Fold, to make it just a little bit better. And I do hope they do make it a little bit better because I think this thing is a very practical and very useful device, just because it is cool to have a smartphone and a tablet with you at all time. It kind of blends the best of both worlds. No longer will you need things like a tablet if you still use a tablet. But then again, of course, tablets do have still a bigger screen than what this can provide. And sometimes there's just reasons why you would still use a regular tablet over something like the Samsung Galaxy Flip or the Samsung Galaxy Fold, excuse me, compared to a traditional tablet. But overall, some very interesting news. It looks like it may be announced this year, and I can actually see that being a thing. And I'm actually curious to see what this thing actually has when this thing actually comes out. I just really want them to fix all the little things of it. It's okay if it's pretty much the same thing as last year's Galaxy Fold, because I think the last Galaxy Fold from last year, their first foldable phone, was actually a perfect phone, except for all the little things that made it a bad phone, like the durability and maybe the front of the screen, front of the device, the regular display that's outside just wasn't that big and wasn't that nice. But if they can just fix all those little things, honestly, I would be very happy with this device, and I would think it would be a nice device, except for that price point. And it looks like they may actually even end up supporting the S Pen, and obviously that's kind of like a no-brainer as well. Why wouldn't you implement something like the S Pen to especially something like this, since you're going to have a bigger screen than your traditional Note device, and the Note was a device that was always set out to be a productivity device because you have that pen functionality, and this thing just takes that up a notch, since of course, like I said, you do have a bigger screen, you can multitask, you have a bigger surface to write on, and things like that. So why wouldn't they add that? So I would see that being a feature. It would finally support the S Pen from Samsung, since Samsung clearly still supports the S Pen with the Note line and things like that. And I can't wait to see the future of foldable phones, and I actually can't wait to see the future of the Galaxy Fold, since it looks like Samsung is back at it again with the Samsung Galaxy Fold. The Samsung Galaxy Fold 2 looks like it's going to be a reality. And that pretty much wraps up this video. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne.